Hey, what's up, nerds? Paul Conti here, along with the notorious Daka Des, and we're going to do a little bit of a new style of battle report. We're going to go through one of our recent games together, picture by picture, go through our lists, discuss our decisions that we made throughout the game and what we might have done right, might have done wrong, might do different next time. Just gonna have it as post-game breakdown. This is from like 2 days ago. So let's let me share my screen real quick and I will show you my list. So are you seeing my screen?
Yep.
All right. So I was taking Nurgle, Festus the Leech Lord with Blades of Putrefaction, Great Unclean One, Bioblade and Doomsday Bell with Tome of 1,000 Poxes. So for his Nurgle spells out of like the Nurgle lore, he was getting +2 to cast. And he was taking Favored Poxes for his spell. Gutrot Spume, Harbinger of Decay, Lord of Blights with a Rustfang. A unit of 10 Blight Kings, 3 units of 5 Blight Kings, the Blight Cyst Battalion, and the Umbral Spell Portal. So fairly standard list for what I've been running. The general plan was to keep the Great Unclean One and Festus together and have them cast spells through the spell portal as necessary. If possible. If not, they would do their usual thing. The Blight Kings with the Blight Cyst is really powerful. Yes. Really cuts through lots and lots of armor. Gutrot Spume was coming in with a unit of 10 Blight Kings. Harbinger of Decay is like my main dude that is using his command ability every turn to give that 5-up ward save. And Lord of Blights is there because the battalion requires it, and that's about it. I don't think he did really anything except hold on to an objective for a while in this game. He might have done a couple of wounds, I'm not sure. So did you have any thoughts on my list in particular? Like anything you liked, didn't like, thought you would do different?
I'm not sure I would ever take Favored Poxes on a Great Unclean One because it has to sit still. And I see the Great Unclean One as like the hub of the army that you want moving around. So you keep those buffs nearby for movement and stuff. But other than that, no, it was a pretty hard list. I love the way you kept the Great Unclean One and Festus together.
Yeah, it ended up being a really interesting combination because the thing that didn't actually come up in our game, as you will see, is that Festus can actually also heal the Great Unclean One more. You just killed him before I had an opportunity to heal him. So let me flip back over and hit stop sharing. And I can lock it on you, and you can share up your list. And you can share your list.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I don't do very often. Apologies.
There you go. All right.
So I was playing Fyreslayers from the realm of Akshi. I took a little bit of Stormcast help in this list. I took a Knight Incantor and a unit of 5 Evocators. I took 2 Auric Runesmiters to give me some options. I could either put one of the Runesmiters with the Auric Hearthguard to put them wherever I needed them on the board to apply firepower, or I could stick 2 units of Volcate Berserkers with each Auric Runesmiter to drop them where I wanted, or at least hope to. I took the Auric Runemaster just to make those Auric Hearthguard count as battle line. He does neat stuffed terrain that on paper you kind of roll your eyes at, but in practice worked out pretty well.
It's surprisingly good.
Yeah. The Exemplar of the Ancestor was the artifact on the Rune Master. It makes Fyreslayers wholly within 12 inches immune to battle shock. And the artifact is Ignox's Scales, which gives a 4+ save against mortal wounds. I took a Grimwraith Berserker just because I had 80 points. I wanted to see what he could do. He, on paper, is really killy versus hordes of units, or when he gets into the mix, the more units, the more killy he is, and the more resilient he is. And I took a Battlesmith so I could reroll saves, particularly on the Volkite Berserkers, which I didn't use at all this game. So what did you think of that list?
I thought this was really interesting. The Knight Incantor was really scary. I have to say, like that. Like I haven't really looked that closely at the Stormcast, like the new Stormcast stuff in general. And I was like, wait, he just like comes with a Dispel Scroll, really?
Yeah.
Like that really screwed up my game. And I think he made me make some bad decisions in the game.
I think so.
Yeah. The Auric Hearthguard was not really impressed with those guys.
Not this time around. Last time.
Yeah, not this time around anyway. Those Volkites, though, those guys are surprisingly good.
Yep.
They always surprise me. Yeah, I thought this was a really interesting list. Having 60 dudes tunneled at the beginning of the game was really interesting because it gave me an opportunity to basically put my Blight Kings with Gutrot Spume like anywhere that I wanted to.
Yep.
But I knew that I had to zone you out of certain areas to force you to be where I wanted you to be.
Yep. One other quick thing about this list, it is absolutely not like I built the utility I usually like to have in a list, but I usually like to one drop. I usually like to control the flow of the game with as little drops as I could possibly do, and this was a lot of drops.
Yes. Yeah, my list was 4 drops, and yours was like infinity drops.
Yep, I was panicking right from before we even rolled dice about it.
Oh, and the other thing that was in here that you did not include in the list was you filled that last 20 points with the Shackles Endless spell.
Yep.
Which ended up playing a huge role in the game.
Yep, the terrain and the Shackles were surprisingly fun items to have.
Yeah. All right. So let me go back over to me. And I will share my screen again. And we can look at what we were doing with the actual game. So our battle plan was Better Part of Valor. This is one of the new battle plans out of the new GHB. 6 objectives. You score points when you raise objectives, and the number of points that you score when you raise an objective is determined by how many turns you have controlled that objective prior to raising it. So every turn is like this, like gamble of like, can I hold this objective for another turn to score more points?
I loved it. I thought it was an awesome mission.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is one of the best scenarios they've ever designed.
Yep.
I absolutely love this scenario. I would play this like any day, anytime. Just fantastic. The 6 objectives are just like in the center of like each of the like 6 squares, I guess. Like if you're looking at like a Realm of Battle board, it would be like at the center of each of the 6 pieces. Nothing really special other than that. We did use realm rules. We were in the realm of Shaish, or no, we were in Akshi. Right?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
We were in Akshi. I don't think we actually remembered to use any of this stuff at any point, did we?
No, none of it.
Yeah,
Before we started.
Completely forgot that these rules existed. But we rolled for it. It was there. We could have done stuff like making terrain explode or spots on the board explode, whatever this thing does. But we kind of just forgot it was there, and which is too bad because it seems like it's a lot of fun.
I think it's one of those things that needs cards, quick reference cards.
Yes, that would help. It definitely would help to have that. So, deployment. This was off on my left flank. I threw a unit of Blight Kings over on my leftmost flank objective, and I put, between them and like the next unit of Blight Kings, my Lord of Blights and my Harbinger of Decay, so that both of those units would be getting buffed by them. In the center, I had the second unit of Blight Kings that were kind of holding that middle objective. The Great Unclean One and Festus are humping that piece of terrain, and they're doing that because that was an arcane piece of terrain. So they were getting +1 to cast for being next to that. I threw my Feculent Gnarlmaw basically like dead center of the board. Partly to disrupt the flow of things. And also it seemed like that was going to be like the channel, like the most likely place that I was going to need the run in charge or potentially to summon things. So it just seemed like a reasonable place to stick it. And then I had one more unit of Blight Kings over on the right, and Gutrot Spume and the unit of 10 Blight Kings deployed off the board on, the Slime Fleet or whatever that is. And just wanted to mention also, this is at our sponsors shop, the Battle Standard. This is all their terrain, their board, like really beautiful, awesome stuff. It's really nice to have a place like that to be playing. Like
tons of table space, tons of beautiful terrain. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. Like so much terrain that you usually have to move terrain off of the board that you're on to have enough space to actually play a game. All right. So over on your side,
I just wanted to apologize ahead of time because not everything is even close to being painted because I'm trying to rebuild all the Fyreslayers. So just apologizing for my lack of paint flair.
I know, you horrible, horrible person, you and your gray models.
Yep.
Vince is going to come fly over here and beat you with a wet noodle for all of this gray. So you stuck your evocators down on this objective in the corner.
Yep, it was all the way to my left.
Yep. Any particular reason that you stuck them there as opposed to somewhere else?
Nope, just needed them on an objective.
All right.
That was it. That was my big plan. I'll put them on an objective. That sounds good.
Yeah.
The other thing is I kind of planned on putting a lot of pressure on you, and I put my 2 Volkites with the Rune Smiter into the tunnels. I knew you were probably going to get first turn. I knew I was probably going to get hit pretty hard, and I'd already kissed those Auric Hearthguard goodbye. And actually the Knight Incantor. But anyway, I tried to put these guys in terrain. I surrounded the Rune Master. I surrounded the Battlesmith. I hope the Battlesmith would help keep a few more of them alive with the reroll to their saves. And then I was like, oh yeah, well, he can't use it to my hero phase anyway, so they're in trouble.
Yeah. And that little plate they're on, that is a forest. It just had the trees removed just because there was no room for all of his dudes on there.
And they're all magnetic, which is cool.
Yeah. And then in the center you had your Knight Incantor hanging out in that terrain just close enough to hold the objective at the same time.
Yep, just going YOLO, just sitting there with enough range to hopefully shut down a little bit of your magic phase. And the evocators too also had enough range to shut things down where they were at.
Yep. And he also happened to be on an arcane piece of terrain. We rolled like an ungodly amount of arcane terrain.
I think there's 4 pieces of arcane terrain.
I think it may have been 5. Like it was like most of the table was arcane. And like we both had stuff like in or near our deployment zones. So it was definitely a fair fight with regard to that. I don't think any of the other terrain rules actually came into effect at any point in the game, but man, did that arcane terrain matter a lot frequently.
Yep, sure did.
All right, so getting things going. I took first turn. I dropped my Blight Kings and Gutrot Spume basically on your back board edge, like in the center. And I think this was actually a huge mistake of like where I put these guys. Because the way I placed them, I wasn't going to be able to take an objective.
Yeah. Well, except for maybe the center one. And
yeah, except for maybe the center one if Gutrot got lucky.
That was another reason I placed that. Actually, I placed the evocators because I gave you several, I think, hard targets to sort of like make your decision a little bit harder.
Yeah, I mean, I think I should have gone to one of the 2 corners with this.
Yep.
And gone for just straight up hitting the objective, turn 1, burn it, deny you the objective, not hopefully knock out a unit. Yep. In this case, I did still do some serious work. I just like rolled totally out of the box on these guys for like both of their charges. I think like Festus got like a 12, and I think the Blight Kings got an 11. Like they both got where they were going. He got right into the Lord Incantor or Knight Incantor, and the Blight Kings had enough to get every one of my Blight Kings into combat.
That was terrible.
Yeah, that was just so bad for you. And this is what it looked like after all of my guys went.
Goodbye, 400-point unit.
Yeah, I knocked out, it was what, a 20-man unit, and I killed 16 of them?
Yeah. Yep.
If you look at what happened, like I was nowhere near your objective, and you were able to hold on to the guys that were close to the objective and still outnumber me on it.
Yep.
So it did not work out the way I wanted to. Despite like just basically wiping 400 points off the board without trying that hard. Without answer. Like I don't think you even did any wounds back to me in this.
Yeah, I don't think anything happened. Yep.
Yeah. And then over here, I got like 1 wound into the Incantor.
Yeah, they did.
Which I think was from a tentacle, by the way.
Yeah, it was from a tentacle. You got 1 hit with a tentacle, and it got through. Other than that, she tanked everything else you threw at her.
Yeah. Which was, which sucked because that was also part of my like bad planning in this. Was like I was throwing Gut Rot at another hero that was like on a natural 3-up save, I think, that was in cover.
2 up.
Yeah. So like why did I do that? Like that was just a bad idea, So I mean we ended up tying on the objective, but like so nobody ever got control of it, but it just kind of sat there.
Yeah. When at this point we forgot your magic phase. You had cast
Oh yeah, that's right. I had tried to cast the Umbral Spell Portal and you just denied it.
Right off the bat. I knew that Knight Incantor was dead, so I was like, I'm using my Dispel Scroll now, and I don't want that stupid portal anywhere near me.
Yeah.
On your whole magic phase, didn't I? Between the Evocators and that?
I did pull off moving the wheel where I wanted to.
Ah, that's right.
Because I think I initially rolled up +1 to wound on the wheel, and then I moved it to making you re-roll your successful 6s to wound.
Yep, that's right.
And the idea was that I wanted second battle round to roll into raining mortal wounds on you.
Yep.
And then I was hoping if my Great Unclean One stayed alive to use Grandfather's Blessing to go then ticket one more and heal all of my guys. We'll find out that did not happen. So you piled back in with your heroes and your dudes, and it looks like you put at least a little bit of damage on my guys.
Yeah.
I didn't lose any models, but they took a couple of hits. But yeah, my magic phase was just not what I wanted it to be. I think, what else did I even try and cast? I think, oh, you know what? I think I tried to Arcane Bolt your Knight Incanter, I think.
Yep, she Arcane Noped it.
Yeah, it got Arcane Noped.
The Evocators Arcane Noped it because she couldn't, because she had already done her Dispel Scroll.
Yep. Yeah, and you would have thought that, like, you know, a Great Unclean One with +2 to cast would have just, like, nailed that, but no.
Pretty high. Well, the 9 or so, right?
Yeah, I mean, I rolled like a 9 and then you rolled a 10. So it wasn't like I was not, you know, it wasn't like I rolled poorly. It's just that, you know, it's a dice game and things happen.
My Evocateur said nope.
Nope.
That was it.
A lot of nope there. Whoops. I think I skipped a page. Yep. So this was over to your turn.
Yep. Something I forgot in that too was, and it was a really, it didn't have an effect on the game, but it was just like I kicked myself about it afterwards. Is I had Exemplar of the Ancients on the Rune Master, who is right there with those with the Auric Hearthguard, so I could have auto passed my Battle Shock, even though you killed 16 dudes.
Yep.
It would not have had a big effect on the game, but those are the little things. Like I haven't been playing Fyreslayers very much or very often, but those are the little things that will burn you that you'll remember later.
Yep. The fire will burn you.
Yep.
So over here, I think you moved up your evocators to be like still within 6 of that objective, but as far away from it as possible.
That's exactly what I did. I tried to sneak. I tried to keep that objective, but go as far forward as possible because I was thinking about those Blight Kings that were opposite. I was trying to get across this board.
Yeah.
And I think in my hero phase, I didn't do anything much besides on my right-hand side of the board in your corner, I set one of the pieces of terrain on fire. I think it might have done a mortal wound.
Yep.
I don't think it did.
You also put shackles up around that unit of 10 block.
Oh man, that was good. Yep, I cast shackles around the unit of 10 Blight Kings that were on my side of the board, and that was a good thing to do.
Yep, that was pretty big.
Yep.
So this was you trying to figure out where you could actually bring your guys up from the tunnels, like mapping out that little slip of land where you actually had that 9-inch gap that you could get in.
I made it work.
You made it work, yeah. And you took the rune that you took that turn was like the +4 to like move and charge.
Yep.
So they were all getting in there. So you dropped all your guys in. Thankfully, like one of them was primed, so we could tell which unit was which.
Sorry.
So yeah, they all ended up basically popping into like dead center of the board in a big line. And on my turn, I had not moved any of my stuff that I deployed. I just like left it there static and just activated defense. That was my goal. I just wanted to defend against this that I knew was coming. And hopefully try and let my unit of 10 Blight Kings do its work.
Yep.
It's just another picture of all of the stupid Volkites.
These guys are directly across from Festus and the Great Unclean One.
Yep. And a big piece of terrain that was in the way. Let's not forget that.
There was a big piece of terrain in the way.
Yeah. And you charge your crazy axe guy into my Gutrot Spume as well.
Yep, the Grimwrath Berserker. He's awesome.
Yep.
Which was tie up Gutrot and do nothing.
Yeah.
And get that objective.
Yeah. Yeah. That having 2 heroes there ended up, capturing that objective for you, and I was just like unable to move anything.
Yep.
So this was your big charge into my Great Unclean One with like all of the dudes ever.
Yep. I think I did an insane amount of mortal wounds on it too. I think, what did I roll? Like 14 or 16 mortal wounds?
Yeah, you rolled a crazy number of wounds on the sling shields.
Yep. And they're all within 8. You have to be within 8 for the sling shields now.
Yeah. And then the other unit just kind of spread out across the rest of my line.
Which was not the best plan.
Yep, as we will see in a picture very soon after this. But yeah, you spread that out pretty evenly across all my stuff. And then, as you can see, this was the aftermath of that round of combat. There were, out of that unit of 30, there were 2 guys left.
And you had like, I don't think I took anything out.
Yeah, at this point in the game, I have still not lost a single model.
Yep.
I've taken some damage here and there, but the Harbinger of Decay had activated his command ability, so everybody had a 5-up ward save, and that Lord of Blights had 3-up rerollable, or 3-up rerolling ones because he was in cover, and plus the 5-up. So none of that was really getting shifted.
Yep.
Over here, you went hard after the Great Unclean One. That was not good for me at all.
Did I leave it with 1 wound?
I think you left it with 2 wounds, I believe. Yeah, that was like not fun at all. Over in the combat in the back, I think I successfully turned off your axe on your hero dude, your Fyreslayer hero.
We'll just say it now. You turned his axe off the whole game, and he was just sitting there keeping things cool like a fan.
Yeah. Yeah. Gutrot Spume's ability to just like say no to one of your opponent's weapons is really powerful. Like, that's like an ability that I've never heard anybody else actually talk about, but it is really good.
Yeah, I did not like it.
Yep.
Did not like.
But he kept whiffing on his attacks, so
yeah.
It
worked.
Yeah, it was all right. We were just kind of standing there having a pillow fight.
The only way I was doing wounds was throwing axes at him.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah, so over here, yeah, you retreated you guys out.
Yep.
And the shackles were all about keeping my guys in place. And that sucked pretty bad. Yeah. So this was after combat, I think. You got up to 14 damage. And then I believe you won priority after this.
Yep.
And then he died. And then you charged in the evocators into my dudes.
Yep. All happened in the proper phase, but I think the pictures are a little.
Yeah, yeah. It all ended up a little bit. I did not necessarily take pictures as much as I should have in this whole process.
Yeah, I nailed I think I needed a 10, and I got it.
Yeah. It was a long charge that you needed, and you got there.
Fun combat. I loved it.
Yeah, you killed off 3 Blight Kings in one fell swoop.
Yep.
But I did do some damage back. I did take a couple of your guys out. I got some good rolls in. Eventually got rid of that incanter. Woo!
Yep.
Yeah. So the silliness over here just continued. Like I piled my guys in to I was able to pile in to that unit of, is that Hearthguard Berserkers? Berserkers.
Okay, Berserkers, yeah.
Yeah, the Volkite Berserkers to like with my Blight Kings to try and take some of them out, but I did not do a lot because they had the hair save.
And I was sneaking them over towards Festus too.
Yeah, and I backed Festus out on my turn because I wanted to get Festus over closer to your evocators because I wanted to be able to use him as like a locus for summoning. My rolls for contagion points on the Feculent Gnarlmaw throughout this game were terrible. I think I rolled mostly ones, and that was really bad. I was like, there were multiple turns where I was like, oh, good, I have 13 contagion points. That is not helpful. No. But I did summon up 5 Plague Bearers over here at some point. Here was like a big mistake that I made, and I'm not sure if we played this right or not. But I moved my guys through the shackles, and I ended up losing a dude because I think you did something to that piece of terrain, or I don't know if it was from the shackles.
Ability on that, right? If you roll a 1,
yeah, and I like lost a guy that was like in the middle of the conga line, so I ended up losing another 3 guys as a result because they were out of coherency. And I'm not sure if we actually like played that correctly. Like I'm not sure like what the sequence is supposed to be with like the move and check to see if they die and all of that, like what the sequence is. We kind of played it as everything moves, then you check to see if they die, and if they die, then stuff gets blown out of coherency and blows up half your unit.
That was right. I think it is at the end of the turn.
Yeah. Yeah. So those shackles definitely held those guys in place too, which was really rough because that was.
They did some too.
Yeah, it was 320 points that those shackles were holding up for 20 points.
Yep. Awesome.
Yeah, it basically like yes, they took out 400 points of your dudes, but then they did nothing for the rest of the game.
Okay. Exactly.
Over here in the middle, you killed my Great Unclean One, and then it was just like a battle for that objective.
Yep.
I was just trying to whittle through your guys, get as much in as I could. So what was your game plan at this point?
It was to try and hold on to that middle objective. I was thinking about burning it at the end of my next turn.
Yep. Yeah, because you were burning objectives early on your end.
Yes, I was burning as many as I could.
Yeah. When it was like reasonable to burn an objective, you just were like, okay, I'm burning it.
I only had so many ways to cover the board and not any way to get to far corners. So if I was there, I had it. And that's another reason I grabbed all 3, so I'd have a choice on which ones I wanted to burn. My overall strategy was to get into your face as soon as possible and burn all mine.
Right.
So it made all the battle on your end of the table, which is exactly what I wanted. I wanted to shove my whole army into your face.
Right.
Take it away.
Yep. And that was kind of my strategy too, except that I had shackles on my guys that were supposed to be and that was bad. So yeah, I killed off one of the evocators, 2 of the evocators. Slowly whittled those guys down a little bit. Like 2 turns in a row, I summoned in 5 plague bearers and made the charge both times to get them in.
Miraculous charges.
Yeah, the miraculous charges, and it forced you to use their lightning arc to get rid of the plague bearers.
Yep.
And it left my Blight Kings there, which were the things that were going to really be dealing the damage back to you. But you had to get rid of the plague bearers, or I was going to outnumber you on the objective and be able to burn it.
Precisely. I had to get rid of them. And I was whittling down. I had no choice at this point because I had 3. And because of the way the plague bearers were, I had no choice. But with one of my evocators, I had to go into the plague bearers. And he was actually doing a pretty good job at taking them out.
Yes. Yeah. Because plague bearers, as I have reviewed in previous videos, are not that good. They are there. They are present. They show up. They get a participation trophy. They are not good.
Yep.
Whoops. That's the wrong direction. That's the direction we want. So this was just, I was just shuffling a unit of Blight Kings along to try and get to where the fight was, and I moved my Lord of Blights over toward that corner objective, just so I had a guy actively holding on to it, just so it wasn't naked. But other than that, that was fairly boring. This was post losing all of those dudes to the shackles and them not moving very far. That was a disappointment.
Yep. Those shackles rule.
Yeah, those shackles are better than I thought they were. And now I'm like post-game analysis is like, maybe Festus needs to be downgraded to a Nurgle sorcerer and throw shackles in the list, because shackles might actually give me more value than the sorcerer does.
Yeah, the shackles are awesome. And a 3+.
Yeah. So this is just more pillow fighting in the middle with those 2 heroes. There's no objectives around them. They're just locked in a fight to the death just because it's what they do.
Yep, they're not very good at it.
Yeah, they were both really, really terrible at killing things.
Like first-time cosplayers with Nerf weapons, not doing too good.
Yep. So yeah, this I think was the 2nd round of Plague Bearers that came in, got their charge. I don't think I ever actually attacked with Plague Bearers. I think you managed to just wipe them with the Evocators first.
The Evocators are like the popes of nope. They just nope. I love them.
Yeah, they are better than I expected them to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were super good. But the Plague Bearers kept you from really going after my Blight Kings, which was what I wanted. Yeah. The Blight Kings were really the thing that was going to be able to deal damage back to you.
Yeah, if it wasn't for those Plague Bearers, I mean, last turn you would have lost those Blight Kings.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So this was back in the middle. I charged all my Blight Kings into your Volkite Berserkers. I wasn't able to get all of my dudes in, but I got as many in as I could, got as many attacks in as I could, trying to like wipe those sons of bitches out.
Yep. No, this was a fight.
Yeah, this was just a slugfest. So, yeah, I had kind of given up on like actually really scoring points with this objective. I just didn't want you to be able to burn it.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to do. I just want to burn this and be out.
Yep. And my my former unit of 10 just kind of continued their shuffle up the middle of the board. They never got into action. They failed their charge and just stayed there.
And meanwhile, I had been moving the Rune Master and the Rune Smiter like steadily towards like up the board as fast as those little 4-inch move guys would go.
Yeah, as fast as their tiny, chubby little baby legs can make them go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is, you know, all the stuff off to the left is dead guys, but Lord of Lights just hanging. My hope for this was Lord of Lights was just going to chill there and hold on to that objective and never let you get there. And again, in retrospective, I think I should have moved him away, like onto the other side of that objective to prevent you from being able to charge him and get closer to it. Because he's not that powerful on offense. So him being out in front is just baiting a charge. Yep. Which is what ended up happening. Like, my ultimate game plan, like at this point, it was like 0-4 because you had burned like 4 of the objectives.
Yep.
I was hoping to maybe keep that one in the middle for like 1 point and then keep this last corner objective for the whole game. Like I was really just banking everything on that one, which was really pretty foolish considering I really only left 1 model there to defend it. I don't
even think you really needed that other unit of Blade Kings in the middle either. Maybe you did. I don't know.
Yeah, they didn't do that much work. I think that was a mistake moving them. Yep. Moving so much onto that objective, I think, was not the right game plan. Yeah, so it was a 0-4 at the end of that round. You eventually wiped out my Blight Kings with the Evocators.
Yep.
I think that was on your turn. Took that objective, raised it. And I think you charged Fest. Yeah.
I burned it. Yeah, burned it. And then I charged Festus because I couldn't get anywhere by the end of the game. So they just did their thing. Just
going to kill Festus. I was able to kill enough of your guys on this objective to prevent you from burning it, at least.
Yep.
But I was still in a position where, like, nothing was going to happen here.
And I kept burning my command points to not have them take battle shock.
Yeah.
I couldn't the first round, and then after that I could. And they got really lucky with their saves. That's the only reason they stuck around a long time.
Yep. And over in the corner, you made 2 charges with heroes onto my Lord of Lights, and then it was just game over. Because you took control of that objective, and then there was no way that I could have scored enough points to actually win the game at that point. So it's just extend the hand and game over.
Yep. And this was, I felt for me, a real uphill battle. Because I felt like from the start, I was like, where did my, half my army is gone. Half of it's in the sky. I'm rolling all 1s and 2s for 3 turns.
Yeah.
But
you're still screen sharing, by the way.
What's that?
You're still screen sharing.
Oh, my list is beautiful.
Yeah, so I think I feel like I definitely learned some things from that game. Like I got too greedy with certain things. And I was a little complacent with like my objective holding and things like that. Like I just didn't expect you to go after stuff the way you did. Like I should have realistically like done the math and said, okay, at this point in the game, if I keep this one objective until the end of the game, you can't possibly score enough points for you to win if I hold it for the whole game. And then just defended it.
Yep.
Yeah. But, I mean, I was really surprised at how effective the shackles were.
Awesome.
Yeah, they're really awesome. I did not like it's interesting like reading a scroll and like theorizing about it and then actually putting it on the table and it's like, wow, this like quagmires a unit for multiple turns.
Yep.
Right.
If I ever have 20 points left in a list, they're going in.
Yeah, I think they're like, after seeing what they actually do, they're like unquestionably the best 20-point endless spell.
Yeah, they were. Well, they were. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're awesome.
and I think for my list, I think I would probably drop Festus for a sorcerer. It reduces my list by 1 drop because he goes into the battalion, and then I can add Shackles in. And I think having Shackles in the list will really be very effective at like keeping parts of my opponent's army at bay. Like shackle one side of the board and throw my unit of 10 Blight Kings to the other side of the board.
Yep. The sandwich.
Yeah, exactly. Sandwich it in. And not expect Gut Rot Spume to kill people.
I do not think that. I was wondering how many points he was, because I couldn't remember off the top of my head. I was like, how many points was that little 80-point Grimwrath Berserker holding up?
He's 140, but you have to keep in mind that he's letting you.
Oh yeah, all his utility is crazy.
Yeah, being able to deep strike a unit of Blight Kings is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, anything after that is like just gravy. The fact that he's like a half decent combat hero that gets extra bonuses against other heroes is pretty good.
Yep.
But as shown in this game, like he didn't get there. Like he tried hard. He got a participation trophy. Really? Finally killed your Incanter after the Incanter did all of the things that it needed to do of value in the game.
Yeah, that was it. I knew that Incanter was dead meat the moment I decided to deploy it. I just knew what needed to get done. Anything else was gravy.
Yep.
And which ended up being good gravy because I got rid of the spell portal and I grabbed that objective and burned it.
Yeah. And like that alone, that was huge. And you held up Gut Rot Spume for a long time.
For the whole game.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely really like that scenario a lot.
I do too. I found it really, really fun.
Yeah. It really racks your brain on the strategy end of things. Like it puts a lot more into the game than just like, how do I run across the board and kill my opponent? It's like you have to kind of do that gambling game of like, when do I raise this objective? Like, how many points is it really worth?
It's funny because I had those two, like, what do I do with these loser heroes? You know what I mean? Yeah. They're stuck out there in the middle of nowhere by themselves. The Battlesmith, like, he should be out there with the Volkite Berserkers, and they ended up winning the game for me.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
crazy.
Yeah. That was just like a thing that I did not expect to happen at all. So, it was a great game though. Like that was one of the more fun games of AOS I've played in a long time.
Yep, it was a nail biter the whole way through. Yep.
Yeah, like I knew I knew I was in trouble at the end of the first, like at the end of top of turn 1. I knew I was in trouble because my Blight Kings didn't cap that objective.
Yeah. And
I was like, oh shit, this plan was wrong.
Yeah, I knew those. The Auric Hearthguard, I'm like, oh, these poor guys. I'm just putting them out here to die. Or the Evocators, just putting you out here to die. The Knight Incantor right in the middle. I'm just putting you out here to die.
Yeah.
You are going to die.
Yeah. I mean, the smart move may have actually been to just send it all at the Incantor.
Maybe.
That might have been the right move. And then he wouldn't have been able to cast Shackles. And then I could have moved around freely. You know, either gone after the Evocators or after the Hearthguard with that block of 10. Because they, like a block of 10 Blight Kings just kills anything it touches.
Yeah, it's not nice.
Yeah, it is very, very strong. And ungodly consistent, too.
Yeah, no, they're really good.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I've been paying attention ever since I like really did the math hammer on Blight Kings. It is shocking the number of times that they end up rolling up like between 9 and 11 wounds. It's like almost every single time.
It's crazy to be like, all right, you missed 7 times. Oh, but I got 3 6s. Bam. Guess what? I just got an extra 5 wound rolls over what I had, rolled to hit.
Yeah. Like it always seems to like balance out and be like, and the unit of 10 is like almost exactly 20 every time.
Yep.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
It's just the sheer number of dice, law of large numbers kicks in, and it just
It'd be quite
a weird outlier roll.
Yeah. And without the blight cyst, it wouldn't be quite as bad as it is.
Yes.
Because that Ren makes all the difference in the world.
And ignoring cover.
Yeah, ignoring cover. Oh, that was terrible.
Yeah. They effectively had Ren 2 against all that Hearthguard.
Yeah. They would have had a 4-up rerollable if it wasn't for the blight cyst.
Yeah.
They would have been all right. I knew they were dead.
Yeah. So it was definitely a really good game. What changes would you make to your list, do you think, after this? Like, what were your takeaways from it?
I enjoyed playing around with some different units and heroes. I'm not entirely I convinced, and I'm saying this strictly like straight up Fyreslayers. If I was redoing a Fyreslayers list, I'd probably want to have a battalion.
Yeah.
Just so I could drop and be done with it and not have too many drops.
What do you sacrifice for the battalion?
It has to be like the Evocators or the Incantor or both.
Yeah. Which
the Evocators and the Incantor, to be honestly, were awesome. It's like I have to admit, like after that game, I was like, all right, how am I going to redo my Fyreslayers list? I was like, how am I going to fill out this Stormcast list? How can I take more Evocators? Those guys are awesome. Yeah, I've been in I love the Evocators were my MVP.
Yeah, they were shockingly powerful.
Yep.
They killed what? They killed a unit of Blight Kings, so that was 160 plus 2 groups of 5 Plague Bearers, so that's another 120 plus they offed Festus without even trying, which was another 140. And they weren't even in the real fight of the game.
Nope.
Killed double their point value.
Yep, they're 200 points. Yeah, they murdered a lot. They were really, and that's not even counting. They were, if I recall, they did really good at dispelling too.
Yeah,
I think they're dispelling like crazy.
Yeah, just being wizards and being able to just deny spells where needed is really key.
Yep. Oh, they were awesome. I think straight up Fyreslayers, I would probably work with the Warrior Kin Band, which would be back to 3 units of 30 Volkites, less drops. See how much trouble I can start with by getting the drop off people. But the Evocators are so cool. I don't know. That's all I've been thinking about.
Yeah,
which I hate because I don't need to do another new army.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my trouble with Stormcast right now is I have inspiration for Stormcast lists, but it all involves dropping at least $200 on new models.
Yep.
Probably more like $300 or $400 on new models. And I'm I don't think I can justify that right now.
Yep. I gotta bring the kids to Disney. I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll be able to drop that much right now.
Yeah, I'm honestly as a result of that, I'm almost maybe I should just sell my Stormcast. I'm not that attached to them. And to actually get what I want out of them is going to take some.
So I'm in at the the battle standard.
Yeah. Throw them in the case. Reroll it.
Reroll it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the evocators were just crazy, and the secretors are crazy. The only trouble I'm running into so far with the Stormcast in the new book is low number of drops. How do I get all the synergy and the tactics and the tricks that I usually like to work with into low drops?
Yeah.
I did an experiment today, but I don't have much faith in it. 3-drop list. I was basically just trying to shoehorn the least amount of drops I could into the list.
Yeah. And that's definitely a problem.
Yep.
Which is really one of the nice things running like Nurgle with the Blight Cyst. It's like it includes a lot of things that you just want to run anyway.
Yep.
And it's like however many units of Blight Kings. I think it's like max 5, but like, are you realistically going to run more than that?
You have to be a cruel, cruel person.
I mean, I have considered buying another box of Blight Kings. Bring it up to 25.
Yep. Awesome.
Yeah. And the Archeon list is tempting, although it doesn't really work anymore.
Yeah.
The Archeon list that was the Plague Touch Warband led by Archeon with a unit of 20 Blight Kings and a Lord of Blights to make the Putrid Blight Kings like invulnerable to everything.
Yeah. I think they shut that down.
Yeah, that whole thing. Well, it got shut down as like a 1-drop list. It's not like you still can't do it. Like you can still run like that unit of 20 and Archeon and a Lord of Blights and a Harbinger of Decay and let Archeon like activate all the command abilities and just make that massive unit of Blight Kings practically invulnerable. But the problem is like, how do you get them to do anything? Because they're without any other tricks, they're movement 4.
Yeah.
So they need the wheel, they need gut rot deep striking them, they need a whole bunch of things to happen, and it doesn't necessarily work.
Warlord without equal. Archaon's command over his armies is peerless. If Archaon uses this ability, all other chaos units in your army that have command abilities on their war scroll can immediately use them in an order of your choice. Is that the most current one?
I think so.
The way I'm reading this, it still sounds like they need command points to do their abilities.
Yeah, I think whatever the new version is, it still does the same thing and it doesn't cost command points. I think is the point.
Yeah.
But Archeon is also like what, 900 points, something like that.
Guys, he's a lot of points, but I go back to Skaven.
Yep.
Be an army.
Yeah. I don't know. Archeon's always tempting, but I just haven't found a list that I like at 2,000 points that he works in, I don't think. But yeah, I mean, I feel like in general, this is like the rough list for Nurgle, like for more competitive play that I think I'm going to be running for a while.
Yeah, it's a good list for sure.
Yeah, I mean, some stuff might get switched up. Running a second wizard at all is a question. Because I mean, the Great Unclean one casts 2 spells a turn.
Yeah, which is great.
So, like, And on his first, the problem that I run into is this, right? Like, first turn, you probably want to cast the spell to set the wheel where you want it. So that's like, okay, that takes up one of his spells. Then what's his second spell going to be?
Shackles.
Right. Like, you want it to be Shackles, but if you're running a second wizard, what you really want to do is have the second wizard cast a spell portal and then shoot favored poxes through the spell portal at the thing that your group of 10 Blight Kings is going to be charging. Like, that was going to be my battle plan if I had actually gotten the spell portal off.
If the Knight Incantor didn't say nope.
Yeah. The Knight of Nope. Yeah. So that, and then after that, it was like, well, I didn't even get another hero phase with my Great Unclean One after that.
No.
So it was like he had no game plan. It's really rare for the Great Unclean One to go down at all, let alone go down turn one.
I have to admit that I like to kill the Great Unclean One. I know you call it a trap, but I find it to be, it's like I said at the start, it's the hub. It's where all the buffs are coming from. I need it to die because that's a huge buff radius.
Yes.
And I don't need you to have that movement. If I can shut that thing down and shut down your movement, all you've got is 4 inches to work with, which is why the shackles work so well. You didn't have the Great Unclean One to rely on any longer. So I think killing it was the right idea.
Yep. Yeah. And stopping the Great Unclean One also really effectively stops the wheel manipulation.
Yep, that too, yep.
Because one of the strongest things, I think, definitely one of the strongest things I found playing Nurgle is that you have basically 7 different battle traits, right? And you get to pick it every turn.
Yep.
And
it's like the Fyreslayers. They have choice of 6. Whichever one suits my battle plan the best, what I need that moment. Like the red -2, I think worked out really well. It kept my Fyreslayers around. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was part of what helped kill off the Great Unclean One, because I think you actually double turned me.
Yep.
Like 1 to 2, and you went from movement to rend.
Yep.
And it just like cut through the Great Unclean One, because all of those guys I think already had rend 1.
Yep. I had the war pick and the shield. Yep.
Yeah. So that was definitely very powerful. I liked it. Yeah. So any other closing thoughts on the battle?
I know it is very fun. I am honestly on my own part felt like it was an uphill battle from the start, and I got lucky with some dice rolls, to be honest. I got some charges off that I needed. Three, to be honest. It was the charge with the Evocators and the charge with the 2 heroes. Those were the crucial parts I needed.
Yeah. And I think my placement of the Blight Kings first turn, I think, was a key error. I think it should have been, they should have gone to a corner. I don't know which corner.
Yep.
Probably, in retrospect, probably the Evocator corner.
I think so too, yeah. I think that would have been the way to go. I thought the part, and it's funny because Age of Sigmar, one of the bystanders was right. It's a wild game, and you never know how it's going to turn up. At the end of turn 2, when I had no more Fyreslayers left out of that 1 unit, and I was like, oh my god, 3/4 of my army is gone.
Yeah. I mean, there was a point in the game where I had killed 48 of your models, and you had not killed any of mine.
Yep.
And then you still won the game.
I still won the game, and I was. Can you agree with me? Except for the Great Unclean One, for the first 3 turns, my average on dice was probably 2.
I don't remember.
I remember rolling very poorly. I'm like, oh, good. I rolled,
Yeah.
I rolled 60 dice and I hit 8 times.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you were also rolling off a lot of things that were like 4s and 4s.
Mm-hmm.
And then into stuff that was like a 4-up, 5-up save.
Yep.
And like, that's all going to bounce.
Yep.
You know?
I bounced. Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's 60 attacks. So you're going to get average 25% through. So 15 are going to get through. I'm going to save half of those with just my armor save. So that's down to like, say, 8. And then I'm going to save another third of those, so 6. And then if you roll a little under that, then you're not even taking out one Blight King.
And that's what happened.
Yeah, like
very funny.
yeah. So I have not been monitoring the chat at all.
Yeah, I'm just looking over there. We got Merrick Wolf popped in for a little while, and he's back again. It appears. So re-rolling one's jackass. I'm going to. I didn't mean to call you a jackass. Re-rolling one's jack asked. I'm going against Fyreslayers for the first time tomorrow for a bat rep. What's the biggest thing I should be aware of? Merrick responded that there are units that are super resilient. So be aware that if you throw a massive hammer at it, it's likely you're going to bounce off, which is true. Volkites you will bounce off of, even the Grimwrath. If there's enough units around, everything is going to bounce off him, and he will murder the crap out of hordes of units. So don't throw hordes. If you see a Grimwrath coming, throw Gut Rot Spume or some hero at it, and he'll just sit there for a while. Merrick also said, do your best to get at the heroes so that they aren't getting their rerolls and other buffs. That's true. That's true for almost every army. Yeah, and that's basically it. Look out for Volkites. They will kick your face in, and then they'll take a kicking in return, and most of the time. If you see a Magmadroth, ignore it. They're garbage.
Yeah, Magmadroths are traps.
Yep. If you have a priority of what you need to kill the Battlesmith first, because it allows all Fyreslayers units within 8 inches to reroll their saves, and that's not wholly within. That was not errata to say wholly within. So if he has 1 unit out of his unit of 30 Berserkers, he's rerolling 4s and rerolling 4s. So kill the Battlesmith first.
Yep, definitely.
The other thing to look out for, if your opponent has Rune Smiters, they can tunnel underground, which is basically Deep Strike. So look out for that. Make sure that if you count their drops and you count your own drops after your roll, and you think they're going to go first, make sure you zone them out from anything that you don't want to die.
That was my big goal. Like, I knew you were going to be tunneling, so when I deployed, I made sure that you didn't have room in my backfield to actually deploy any troops.
Yeah.
So I deployed my guys back a little bit, so that you had to deploy to the middle of the table.
And I feel like I may have even been able to sneak in behind the Great Unclean One, but I wanted more options for those slow guys so I deployed in the middle in that little strip. So
I think you might have had a little bit of room. I left a little bit of room behind the Great Unclean One, knowing that you weren't going to be able to fit a unit of 30 in there.
Yeah, that was probably the case too. Yeah,
because those guys are all on 32mm bases.
Yeah,
so they take up a lot of space.
That's the other thing. Rerolling ones, Jack. A lot, except for the Battlesmith, all their command abilities are wholly within a certain radius. And all the Fyreslayers are on 32mm bases, and they're a horde army. So I didn't have too much trouble maintaining that coherency, but others might not be so aware of their board presence. So keep an eye out for that. Like, make your opponent measure. Are you wholly within 18 inches for that command ability? Are you wholly within 8 inches or 12 inches for that command trait? You're not, you can't use it. Look out. Make sure the measurement's tight.
Yeah, the other interesting thing I noticed in this game, how many of your command points did you use on command abilities that were on War Scrolls versus Inspiring Presence?
I had no command abilities on War Scrolls.
You didn't?
Nope. It was all Inspiring Presence.
Interesting.
Yep. I usually take a Rune Father because he's pretty good at surviving. I don't know. His command ability is so-so. I don't really care.
Yeah.
I don't really take them for their command abilities, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I found I had... I ran a battalion, so I started with an extra command point, and I held that extra command point in reserve basically like most of the game until I needed to re-roll a charge. And that was it was I missed one of my charges with the Plague Bearers into the Evocators in the corner.
That's right.
I was like, okay, got the command point, gonna re-roll that charge, and then I made it.
Yep, that got you in there. It was worth it.
Yeah. I think the generic command abilities, especially re-rolling charges, are like not to be underestimated.
Nope.
And Inspiring Presence, like I think it's almost more powerful now than it was before, oddly enough. That like you're not like blowing your command ability on a unit that might not even get its combat. Like you're using that command ability to stop a unit from bleeding to battle shock that you know is going to blow up to battle shock.
It saved my butt.
Yeah.
As far, let's see, is there any good command abilities? Like I was using the Auric Runefather and Magmadroth. I thought he was okay because he's got a bigger base. He's got a little bit more reach to stay wholly within 20 inches.
Yeah, and he has that big bubble of immune to battle shock, right?
Yeah, the guy at Magmadroth reroll save rolls of 1 in battle shock tests, so it's not immune. It's the
reroll battle
command trait that makes you immune within 8 inches, wholly within 8 inches. And on foot, I like the Auric Runefather on foot for the like places of power or duality of death, because the Lodge Leader, if he uses ability, then until the next hero phase, Fyreslayers within 8 inches of the Runefather can move up to 5 inches when they pile in, which is huge for those 32 millimeter bases.
Right.
Be able to get around monsters and stuff. And also, anytime the Runefather suffers a wound or a mortal wound, he can pick a Fyreslayer unit within 3 inches and roll a die. And on a 4-up, that unit suffers a wound. So you have to roll a 4-up. If that, he fails his saves, then you roll a 4-up to see if it goes on that, unit of Volkite Berserkers. They get their armor save 4-up, and then they get their hair save 4-up. You're going to save there somewhere, which is a pretty monstrous way to stay on an objective in a unit of 30 Volkite Berserkers.
Yeah. Your Volkites, apart from that, like, you had one unit of Volkites that just, like, blew up.
Melted immediately. Yep.
Yeah. But the other one just stuck around forever.
And that's when my rolling was hot. My rolling was really good with them. Yep. Well, sticking around.
So I think that's about all I've got for now. Do you have any other closing thoughts here?
No, that's it. Play that battle plan. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I really like the battle plans in the new GHB.
Yep.
Like them a lot. They did a great job. And I felt like, honestly, this game was really fair, balanced. It went back and forth.
Yep.
I didn't feel like there was anything crazy overpowered.
No. And again, I'll state that I thought by the time the bottom of turn 2 came around, I was like, I am screwed. And still managed to pull it off with like a little bit of, knowing the mission, I guess.
Yeah. Are you drinking coffee at 11 o'clock at night?
No, it's water.
Oh, okay. All right. Just checking. Vodka?
No, I had
All right. All right, kids. Well, I think that's about it for now. That is a pretty solid recap. Let us know down in the comments what you thought of this kind of style of battle report, kind of the commentary from both sides, and what we had going on.
It was fun answering about our game. It was more fun than, I guess, hearing a straight-up battle report. But I don't know. Yeah, let us know.
Yeah. Hit those comments, hit like and subscribe as always, and we will see you later.
Asante.